It's been a rocky stretch of episodes, but Fiona and Cake Season 2 just gave us an incredible half-hour television with the worm and his orchard. Witch Wizard is back. Fern is back. Rebecca Sugar is back. What more could you possibly ask for? As always, there's a lot to unpack, such as the quick glimpse we were given of the moment Jake died and the strange circumstances surrounding Fern's return. So let's waste no time and jump right in. The penultimate episode of the season picks up in Fiona's mind after a series of unfortunate events that I truly believe was one of, if not the craziest crash out in Adventure Time. Fiona's desperation to prove that she's worthy of being a hero and claiming what she believes she deserves to have, her happily ever after, led to her smooching Felix in front of Fennel and Hunter and destroying the sweet spot after seeing her friends pull off its rescue without her help. She's hit rock bottom, and while it's frustrating to see our girl at her lowest and making these string of poor impulsive choices, this episode is able to finally uncover the source of Fiona's insecurities and why she's so self-destructive. That said, her mindscape is just as messy as her. With dirty clothes, dishes, and even money scattered about, the dirty money in question might allude to the future Cake saw, where Fiona was working for Marshall's mom. But amongst this pile of trash are some worthwhile Easter eggs. We can spot 3 different swords. Fiona's Wish Star sword, which in Fiona and Cake acts as the embodiment of her dreams, her longing to be a hero. There's Finn's first sword from the beginning of Adventure Time, representing her origins as a Finn variant, and the Crystal Sword, her first sword from the original Fiona and Cake episodes in Adventure Time, that I believe is representative of the remnant of magic that still exists in her world, as shown through the wizard eyes and the wolves who wandered. There's also plants and seeds everywhere, along with a couple of books titled, If You're Bad at Planning, Too Bad, and Repotting for the Bad at It. Now, we saw Fiona struggle with taking care of plants earlier in the season, but this reinforces how much of a personal failure it is for her, because the plants aren't just plants to her, they're an extension of her community. So if she can't take care of a plant, how can she take care of her friends? Speaking of her friends, they all hold space in her mind through miscellaneous items on a shelf that she's quick to hide. There's a miniature of Marshall's van alongside one of his demo tapes, one of Gary's cookies, a small plant in a cup of water that not only represents Hunter, but shows how their relationship is still in the early stages. Hunter and Fiona got a ways to go before their relationship is a beautiful, fully grown plant. The floral hair clip is representative of Fennel, which just goes to show how Fiona really did hit it off with her and considers her a friend. They share a bond that's independent of their connection to Felix, but obviously the kiss has put a damper on everything. It's funny because I can't help but notice how Felix himself isn't represented in this room at all. It's like Fiona knew that he was toxic for her all along. Go figure. Winterworld Choose Goose's inclusion on the shelf really ties it all together as it drives home why we've been seeing so much imagery from that episode in this season. What really makes that adventure traumatic for Fiona is that it was the first time she really embraced being a hero and indulging in her fantasies, only to realize that she's been hurting people the entire time. And now it's happened again. But now, she didn't just screw up a version of Who that she has no real attachment to. Her entitlement to being a hero caused her to really do a number on her friends and her own life. Already over being stuck in her own head, Fiona travels inside Huntress's mind and uncovers the aloof wizard's most guarded memory, her parents perishing in a house fire. Huntress Wizard suspected Fiona was the key to the heart of the forest, as she fit the bill for being a broken tool who seeks the flame. Cause you know, she puts all of her self-worth into helping others and is down bad for a fuckboy. But as it turns out, this riddle was about Huntress confronting her own trauma the entire time. The death of her parents is the source of Huntress's emotional unavailability and inability to commit. She closed herself off from forming that sort of connection. At least until Fiona and Cake came into the picture. When Huntress manifested in Fiona World as a seedling, she was immediately met with patience, understanding, and compassion from the duo. Because of her circumstances, she was left with no choice but to rely on others. She experienced a nurturing environment for the first time since childhood, and it's just because Fiona and Cake wanted to take care of her. So when Fiona consoles Huntress as they prepare to perish in this traumatic memory, Huntress realizes that she was able to find and experience love again without getting hurt. She decides to finally be vulnerable in her own accord as she embraces Fiona. In this moment, she's able to come to terms with her parents' deaths and extinguish the flames. And this literally opens the door for her to find the heart of the forest. It's been inside her all along. I think the path to the heart was within this particular memory, as it's not only baggage that was weighing Huntress down, but it was her motivation for securing green magic in the first place, seeking immense strength so that she would never have to rely on anyone but herself. And on that note, based on everything we've seen, I wonder if Huntress was the only one who actually offered something to the heart of the forest when she severed her hand, hence why they share this connection. I think it fits. Everyone else found a way to take its power without surrendering a part of themselves, whereas Huntress, through Spirit Dream Warrior's guidance, actually sacrificed something. Even if her hand grew back, this was still an intimate ritual where she had to willingly invite something in. The heart in this mindscape also gives Huntress its blessing, not wanting to kill it a second time in order to save someone else. This blessing means that unlike the other green wizards anew, who lost this power after taking it by force, Huntress will be able to wield it whenever and wherever she pleases. I believe this portal to the dimensional tree was actually the first thing Huntress subconsciously conjured up herself after gaining full control over these powers. Fiona, Cake, and Huntress all get separated as they're thrust into the undergrowth, a plane of existence that exists underneath the dimensional tree. Huntress follows the thunderous cries of a mysterious entity, Cake crosses paths with Karmic Worm, and Fiona gets rescued by none other than Fern, looking as gender non-conforming as ever with pink, blue, and white flowers in his hair, which are of course the colors of the trans flag. My guy is no longer a clone of Finn. He's become someone entirely new. The drastic difference between Fern and Finn's appearances as adults solidifies how they're in fact two separate people with their own distinct identities, just like Fiona and Finn, making Fern the perfect character for Fiona to run into at this point in the story. He's the only other person who sought after the life Finn had and knows how hollow of a desire that truly is. But how did Fern end up here? Last I checked, he was reduced to a seed that'll eventually become the new treehouse, complete with a brand new sword. I know he says his conscience awoke here, but why? Well, ever since the origins of green magic were revealed to the audience, I had a sneaking suspicion that the grass demon was also born from green magic, originating from the undergrowth and manifesting in our reality through the heart of the forest. Since the grass demon is an extension of Fern and was destroyed and come along with me, preventing Fern from maintaining a physical form anew, I believe his soul returned to whence it came, the undergrowth. So while this sword-shaped seedling is an extension of himself, I don't think it'll actually create another Fern or run the risk of what happened to Finn happening to Shermie. We have a big moment for Huntress Wizard that I believe could partially serve as setup for Season 3, as she encounters a creature named Russell who also resides in the undergrowth. His people are apparently dealing with a gnarly infection that's the result of green magic consuming them alive, just like Witch Wizard who pops back up later. Now possessing full control over green magic with the heart's blessing, Huntress is able to heal the infection, regrowing Russell's leg in the process. Not only does this set the stage for her to heal Finn herself, as these elements share the same source, plus she loses the antidote that she previously procured for him, but it's possible that Huntress may also play a role in healing Prismo in a potential third season. Or maybe she'll take it upon herself to heal everyone who's suffering in the undergrowth, enlisting Hunter to help create a widespread cure, since healing all of them one by one would take eons. Either way, this is a huge upgrade for Huntress Wizard. What can't she heal at this point? Shifting gears back to Karmic Worm, this is the brother of Cosmic Owl who previously made contact with Huntress Wizard when she first entered the dimensional tree earlier in the season. Karmic Worm eats unprocessed emotions that manifest in the dimensional tree and sends them back to their point of origin once they're digested, though they can always find their way back to the undergrowth. We see two types of colorful orbs for these emotions, red and blue. It seems like the red balls are for painful memories, while the blue balls are for regrets. But it's also possible that mortals produce red balls, while immortal beings and deities produce blue balls. All of this makes me wonder if emotions are a form or source of magic in the Adventure Time universe, hence why they end up here. The concept of unprocessed emotions leads us to the physical manifestation of Finn's vault, as he appears to harbor the most pain balls in the undergrowth, with the largest one being the moment that Jake died. Our boy didn't pass peacefully of old age like many had hoped. He perished right before Finn's eyes on an adventure when Finn was in his 20s. It's unclear if Jake was killed as a result of the environment they were in, maybe stumbling into some sort of trap or natural disaster, or if he was potentially murdered by someone, but either way, it really messed Finn up. especially as it was yet another pivotal moment in his life where he failed to save someone. I'm sure that took a toll on him. More unprocessed emotions we see include losing his arm for the first time after trying to force his father into his life, and a botched attempt at getting Huntress Wizard to move in with him. But I want to take a stab and figure out what some of his other unprocessed emotions could be. I definitely think he hasn't come to terms with the guilt that he harbors over his relationship with Flame Princess, given that Phoebe herself found some closure when visiting Finn on his deathbed. I doubt he's unpacked the events of Breezy, particularly what happened with LSP.
Don't be scared, Finn. Lumpy's on lifeguard duty.
There's tree trunks blowing up after eating the glass apple, his fear of the ocean, getting possessed by Hudson's amulet, there's Finn losing Joshua and Margaret, then the existential horror of the Minerva bots while his mom's actual conscious is in a computer, and who could forget Billy getting possessed by the Lich, and well, everything with the Lich. Dude was a menace. I'm sure there's more, but those are some of the events that stick out to me as things that Finn would take years of his life to process. And in cases like Jake's death, we know that he was never able to come to terms with it while he was alive. However, I doubt we can pinpoint every paintball to an event in the original series, as Finn has had plenty of adventures we haven't seen as both a teen and an adult. We see various unprocessed emotions for the Fiona World characters such as LSP, Marshall Lee, Gary, and even Fiona, but I want to cover these in a separate video about the Fiona World retcons. For now, I will say it's heartbreaking that while Finn got raised by two talking dogs, who were able to provide him with what he needed, Fiona was practically raised by ordinary cats. Getting ditched by her parents caused her to develop abandonment issues, which is why she's so desperate to prove her worth and be hailed as a hero. She's afraid that if she isn't a miracle worker who's solving everyone else's problems, then she'll be discarded by her friends and community as a whole. It is tragic. Witch Wizard's deal in this episode is pretty straightforward. Whereas Huntress accepted herself and received the Heart's blessing, gaining full control over the green magic, Witch Wizard continues to siphon it by force, gradually losing control over it as her physical form is consumed by the mystical fungus. So although Witch Wizard is more powerful than ever, she's also more unstable and emotionally volatile. She's only interested in being revered as a god. She hasn't accepted herself without magic and feels as if she needs this power to maintain her identity. I do wish we got a little bit more of a dynamic between Huntress Wizard and Witch Wizard so that this battle would have had some more emotional weight to it, but as it stands, she just feels like an obligatory villain to have so we can be entertained by some very dope action scenes. Karmic and Cake hit it off, indulging in a banger musical number written by Rebecca Sugar. This song is all about transformation and how Cake has felt like she's changed herself for the wrong reasons, forcing herself to fit in amongst Fiona World's human society, sacrificing her truth in the process. Cake picks up a blue ball that shows a lamenting Prismo. Given his depressed state in the first season, that seemed to be triggered by Jake's death. I wonder if this is alluding towards Prismo having his own regrets for not intervening when everyone's favorite dog kicked the bucket. That if he could have bent the rules just once, it would have been that moment. Perhaps we'll finally uncover the truth behind Jake's death in the upcoming movie or in future seasons of Fiona and Cake, but there's always a chance they'll keep it a mystery. In typical Adventure Time weirdness, Karmic Worm is able to revive Cosmic Owl by cracking open one of his regret balls. Karmic Worm states that deities are like ideas, hard to kill outright, which definitely implies a cycle of reincarnation or a certain level of immortality. I'm partial towards reincarnation though, as that's already been prevalent in the series and supports the idea that Go Betty reincarnated after helping Simon save Fiona World. But given that Cosmic Owl is, well, still Cosmic Owl, retaining all of his memories and all, this appears to be more along the lines of regeneration. Because Cosmic Owl technically died for a little while, he served out his prison sentence and is able to resign from his Crow Dream duties. Between Fiona, Cake, and now Cosmic Owl, I got a feeling that reinvention and finding a new purpose will be a huge theme of the third season. Cake stays behind in the undergrowth to do some soul searching, while Huntress Wizard and Fiona part ways, finally recognizing one another as friends. But before Huntress can return to Ooh, her path home breaks right in front of her. It looks like she's gonna have to continue to confront her emotions and listen to her heart if she wants to return home. Meanwhile, Finn has been returned to the kingdom after his trial went nowhere as to be expected, but he's now nearing the end. Exhausting all their options, PB is left with no choice but to call his mom, implying they're at least going to preserve Finn by uploading his consciousness and having him live on as a Finnbot. But the show's also been teasing the idea that Finn will kick the bucket in this season and that this was actually a stealthy prequel to Together Again, but come on y'all, I know you're all too smart to fall for that. With that said, all that's left for this season is the big finale, coming to us none other than Christmas Day, and I can't wait to talk about it with all of you. But for now, these are just my thoughts and I'd love to hear yours. What did you think about this episode? Let's get a dialogue going in the comments, and keep the conversation going over on Twitter and Instagram at AllSharkFox and at Roundtable Vids. If you enjoyed this video, please sure to like and subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you never miss a video. Peace!